to that selection by going out and winning his third MVP award. He threw the most touchdowns and led the league in completion percentage and total QBR. It was a spectacular performance, which brings us to where we are now. Rodgers is disgruntled. Coach Matt LaFleur says he can't fathom no Rodgers in Green Bay. But can Rodgers fathom going back there? Well, yesterday, Davante Adams threw some fuel on the fire with this cryptic tweet. He tweeted, "Gotta appreciate what you got while you got it." I'm sure no one will overreact to that. Here's Rob Demovsky, our outstanding Packers reporter. Rob, what happens now? We've seen where we've been, and we see where we are. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, Greeny, they haven't traded him, right? They said they weren't going to trade him. But here's a key date when they might trade him, and that's after June 1st. I've already got it written on my calendar. June 2nd, 7:05 a.m., I'm on with Greeny to talk about what happens now because they might trade him then. And the reason? Because that's when the salary cap hit will be less for them if they move on. Right now, if they traded him, and there's no point in trading him now because they didn't do it before the draft where they could have gotten immediate help, but they would have saved only about $5 million on their salary cap. If they do it after June 1, they pick up $25 million on their cap right away.
What can you tell us about the readiness of Jordan Love to play? One of the pieces of this is that the Packers have drafted their quarterback of the future. Are they ready for that future to begin? What do we know about Jordan Love's readiness to start playing?
The plan all along, Greeny, was never to have Jordan Love play in 2021, unless something happened from an injury standpoint. Remember, he was the third string quarterback last year. That means he wasn't even active for any of the games. It means in practice, he ran the scout team, got almost no reps with the regular group. It was a process that they had planned to bring him along slowly from the get-go. In training camp, he threw like 50 passes, not very many when you talk about a 2, 3, 4 week training camp that they had last year. So it was never the plan. Now, could they accelerate it and have him be ready for this September? Possibly. But if Rodgers doesn't show, or they trade him, or whatever the case may be that Rodgers isn't here, don't be surprised if they try to find a veteran to gap between Rodgers and Love.
Now, it's fascinating. It feels like they had their timetable, and now Rodgers has stepped in and said, no, we're going to do this on my timetable. So let me finish it with this. You have covered the Green Bay Packers for 24 years. What % chance would you give that Aaron Rodgers is their starter week 1 this fall?
When this whole thing went down initially with Shefty's report on Thursday, I thought it was very, very small chance. Dari Noka asked me on Saturday morning on ESPN radio what the chances were, and I said less than 5%. I'm sticking with that, Greeny, because one thing I did yesterday was talk to somebody in the Packers organization and said, is there any update? And the response was, not unless you've gotten our quarterback to come back.
5% or less. That means there's a 95% chance Aaron Rodgers is someone else's starting quarterback this fall. Rob Demovsky, outstanding work as always. Thank you. Let me bring the rest of the crew in this morning again. David Pollack, Marcus Spears, and Diana, I will start with you. So June 1st or thereabouts is the date to watch. What are you hearing from around the league about all of this, about teams to watch, about all the many stories that stem from this bombshell involving Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, let's empty the barrel here. First of all, Rob is spot on when it comes to this June 1st date. This is what league circles have been sharing with me. If you're going to see any movement with Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be after that June 1 date. So let's talk about how everyone else is looking at the Packers right now from the outside. I had one head coach yesterday say, this reminds me of a marriage where one partner wants to get counseling and the other partner doesn't. And we all know those couples out there in the world, and we know what happens, right? They get a divorce. There's certainly a feeling that this is not going to work out. I know Rob uses that 5% way of describing it. And look, there's no way to really put a percentage on it. I can just tell you around the league, there aren't a lot of people that have belief that Aaron Rodgers is going to return to the Green Bay Packers. the Denver Broncos continue to be the team I hear that are going to be the most interested and are going to put the most in front of the Green Bay Packers to try to make this trade go down. Just adding one more layer to what Rob was adding in terms of talking to the Packers. I've had some conversations with the organization as well, and the sentiment there and the feeling I get at this point is deflated. They are absolutely deflated at this point, as we know they've been trying to fix this. They've been trying to mend it, but for them, they know this is up to a very strong, stubborn, smart quarterback named Aaron Rodgers who's going to do what Aaron Rodgers wants to do.
So, Marcus, I was watching you guys on NFL Live when this story broke, and I saw you literally twirling around in a chair that didn't spin. You were spinning and the chair was not. And I've been waiting since that moment to get your perspective on all of this. So as you sit back and you hear 5% and we start talking about where would Aaron Rodgers fit in, I mean, it still seems surreal that this is where the conversation is. Where are we in your head?
Gee, it's over. It's over. And I said a year ago Aaron Rodgers was going to want to leave Green Bay, sitting on this show with you, and some believed it, some didn't, but I saw this coming from a mile away. I mean, if you think about the history of Aaron Rodgers, you think about how disgruntled he was when Jordan Love was drafted. People talk about the weapons that they need and all of these things that come into play. But you know me, G, until you say something publicly, bro, it don't matter. And when the quarterback, the franchise, the face comes out and says, I no longer want to be here, that's 100% out of there, unless it's a miracle. Listen, it is going to take a miracle for Aaron Rodgers to play quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And we all have to remember, yes, Shefty broke the story Thursday. We were getting ready for the draft. Mark Murphy has been to the West Coast. Matt LaFleur has been to the West Coast. Gutekunst has been to the West Coast to talk to Aaron Rodgers. The explosive that happened during the draft is a manifestation of a lot of work, a lot of talks. So it's not like Aaron Rodgers just up and said, I want out. He said, I want out after people have made attempts to try to rectify the things that's going on in Green Bay. That's why I firmly believe he'll never play for the Green Bay Packers again.
David Pollack, what are your thoughts?
First of all, Marcus, I think you're a man that believes in miracles. I know I do. I believe in miracles. So I think it could happen. And saying there's a chance it could happen. Listen, I know there's a lot to take in and there's a lot to make happy with Aaron Rodgers. But again, I do go back to a couple things. This is a good situation. This isn't a horrible situation. This is a situation you've been in for 16 years. So I want to give it a chance to talk about what Diana talked about. Like, let's get to counseling. Let's keep trying to get to counseling. Don't give up yet until you can get to that point. If you're Green Bay, you still own his rights. You can still make it exceptionally difficult on him. But Greeny, whenever you're ready, I do have a great idea for a trade partner in the end that I think could make a lot of sense with Aaron Rodgers and his future if the counseling doesn't work and it doesn't take and they got to go different directions.
I was born ready for that, David.
Hold on a second. G, hold on, G.
Yes.
Hold on, G.
Yes.
Didn't I just tell y'all the damn man been in counseling for a year? Didn't I just say that they've tried counseling already? And now everybody.
Hey, they still in the same house, Marcus.
And now they need to go to counseling.
Yet. They're still working.
Bro, listen.
Guys,
if me and my wife was going through something and I made 3 cross-country trips to try to get it fixed and kept calling and kept dialing and kept texting and kept telling her friends how much I love her, how much I want her. That's what the Green Bay Packers been doing. Matt LaFleur said, I couldn't even imagine a day without having Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback. You think Aaron Rodgers give a damn about that? He just went public a week ago saying he don't want nothing to do with the Green Bay Packers. Y'all,
Marcus, I know
and all the miracles. They've been to counseling. It ain't working.
Here's what I think is happening.
So you telling me, Marcus, you're telling me that with your wife, all you've invested all these years, and you're telling me that you're just gonna be like, I ain't gonna stop. I'm gonna stop calling. Forget it. I'm gonna give up. A year, I'll do whatever it takes for my baby doll. I'm just telling you right now. I'll walk through whatever I need to walk through. I'll say whatever I need to say to make it happen, bro.
Dave, we ain't trying to make your wife cook a good dinner. We talking about making all of these trips and doing all of this talking and sending flowers and all of that, at some point you would think that the opposite would say, you know what, they really want me. Let me try to work this out. Y'all, I keep harping on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers didn't just start going through this Thursday when Shefty broke the news. This is not something that is new, like we coming back from it. They've been going through this.
All right, I have to break here. I'm going to come back to all of this, I promise. David, I think the moment you give up is when the movers are in your house. when they're actually moving furniture out of the house.
Somebody
And you're like,
here.
well, I guess we're doing this. That might be...